Are you a Turkish citizen or resident of Türkiye? This video is for you if you're going through the green card process through the U.S. Embassy there. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I and my team help people, especially a lot of Turkish citizens, residents from Türkiye, obtain green cards through the U.S. Embassy system. We're going to go over the process of documents needed and general ideas that you should be aware of if you're going to go through this. And if you need more help, just hit us up, jqklaw.com/contact to help you with your case. So as an overview, we're going to start from embassy processing to documents that are necessary for this step, civil documents in particular, and let's jump on it right there. So if you are going to go through a green card process and you're living in Turkey, primarily if you're a citizen or resident, sometimes there's third-party nationals that are Iranian that are there or visiting there or need a process there. They have a slightly different system, but a lot of this will still overlap. The important thing to note is that green card interviews are done in Ankara. There is a U.S. consulate in Istanbul, but they only handle non-immigrant visa cases. That means things like tourist visas, E2 investor program, and the like. But the green card has to be processed through Ankara. So once your case gets to the point past the National Visa Center, your documents are qualified, eventually you'll get an interview notice from the embassy for scheduling a time in Ankara. Now, if you need to reschedule and stuff, it's very possible. You got to contact them. For other stuff you need to contact the embassy about, unfortunately, for the last couple of years, they have not been as responsive as they used to be. So we prepare for delays and sometimes needing congressional help to be able to move the case forward or communicate with the embassy. But in total, it's very important to know if you're in Turkey, the processing is going to happen in Ankara. That may require you to get a hotel there, or fly out there if you're in a different part of Turkey to be able to handle what you're handling. So that's the first thing I want to note there. Secondly, something I didn't mention in the intro is that the USCIS, the Immigration Department for the United States, started an international field office in Turkey. So it's very important to note that for certain kinds of cases, mostly related to refugee issues, but other kinds of cases, they can help you with certain things. If there's a need to file directly with this international office, for example, an I-130 petition, marriage or family case, potentially you could directly do it with them. This rare cases instead of doing it with USCIS in the United States because they can speed up your case. If you need to do certain fingerprinting appointments, you could go there, or even re-entry permits. These are special permits to be outside the U.S. for long periods of time. You can have a request that it's mailed there to that office instead of a U.S. location, which then has to be mailed to you, which could get lost. So it's very important to know these options do exist. You just got to be aware of what's possible for your case. So let's say, okay, you got your green card case, you're going to interview, you're done with USCIS. There's a very important part that pops up in the next step of the process, which is uploading your civil documents, birth certificates, marriage certificates, and the like to the online system. Now, we're not going to go through everything, and I do recommend going to two different pages. And the first one is the visa reciprocity page for Turkey. Just go to YouTube and you type in visa reciprocity Turkey. A list of how the U.S. expects your documents to look like will pop up there. First and foremost is the birth certificate I want you to think about, because in Turkey, you could get your birth certificate online. There is a barcode that's listed on there that validates it, but it's only usually valid for a month. So we haven't had problems with that, but be aware this is it. Sometimes you just get a new one right before the interview, so it's updated. And that birth certificate should list all the family members, parents and siblings typically are listed on there with any additional comments. So make sure you have that with all the necessary stamps and the like. We'll have samples on the video screen how recent cases are. But it's important to have that again, and might be translated. It's best to have that translated to be safe. A second document that pops up is the marriage certificate. In Turkey, the marriage certificate is like a red booklet as a cover and the rest. This should be uploaded. There's a lot of pages to it. Best to have all the pages in the right side of format for them to accept it. And if needed, technically it's in all these different languages, so translations are needed, but I usually recommend people translate anyways, because sometimes it could be havoc or they don't understand that it's English, primarily when you're dealing with USCIS, not with the embassy system. And third document that you should be aware of is the criminal police certificate to show you have clear police record. This can be obtained online at turkiye.gov.ti. And they issue it in English, so it might be important to just get the English version of it to avoid having to translate that. But those are the main civil document issues that we see pop up. You just, again, go to Visa Reciprocity for Turkey, and it goes through how this document is supposed to look like to make sure fine-tune it's the right one in the way it looks, so you have less pushback and less delays. Another note I want to make about the green card process when you go through the embassy is the medical checkup. Typically, Turkish citizens have to do a chest x-ray to make sure they don't have tuberculosis, so expect to do that in most cases. If there's a what's like a non-responsive, it looks like you have TB tuberculosis, but you don't because it's not active, or the no apparent disease or defects are there. I'm sorry, if it's like what's called a Class B, whereas they may have it, may not, or they just said it's not active, you'll only get a 3-month visa from the date of the medical checkup to enter the US once this is approved, the visa is approved, as opposed to the 6 months, which is typical. So be prepared for that in your travel plans. And when the visa is issued, double check to make sure you got a 6-month visa as opposed to 3 months. And very importantly, the time, how long your visa to enter the United States with this immigrant visa is based on when the medical checkup happened, not when the interview at the embassy happened. So those are some important notes I see pop up, create problems for people. It is possible to reschedule and communicate with the embassy by email and through a website, but they keep changing the rules. So whenever you watch this, it might be a different way for contact. But again, they haven't been responsive for the last 3 or 4 years. Before that, they were very responsive when you emailed them. I asked some questions, but it slowed down pretty dramatically from getting any response. Or if you do, it takes forever. We had one case after the embassy interview. It took them 4 weeks to issue the visa, even though they were approved. So the client was just waiting and waiting. We emailed them, and it took them 3.5 weeks to tell us, "Oh, we'll get it to you in a couple of days." So it's very frustrating when that happens with unnecessary delays. It seems, at least on our end, that it's unnecessary. But the best you can do is be fast with what you do to have the proper civil documents, get marriage, divorce records, the birth certificates, police certificates, and the like. Be prepared to do your medical checkup, be mindful it's not incorrectly done, and just plan out the trip that you can go for your embassy interview to avoid having problems there and delays with picking the place or just getting a hotel, frankly. Now, when the visa is issued, you could request that the passport be returned to an address that's closer to you in Turkey, in Istanbul, or wherever it is. There's a website where you register your appointment once it's scheduled, and you can pick which post office you want to mail to, or potentially mail to your home with the additional price. You just got to see what the current rules are regarding mailing at the time when you register your appointment. And that's really it. The email for them is ankara@state.gov. But again, the responsiveness has not been as good recently. Hopefully that'll change soon. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. If you want to use our services, just contact us at jqklaw.com/contact. We'll be happy to help you through your process.